Everyone, welcome to ISEP's pre-departure orientation for Belgium. Thank you for joining us today. So to get started, my name is Gretchen McCarthy and I am the Student Services Officer for Belgium at ISEP Study Abroad. I studied abroad in northern France in Lille in 2015 and traveled to Belgium a few times during my time in France. And I will let my co-presenter introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Heidi Vervaken, and I'm the host coordinator for incoming students at Artevelde University of Applied Sciences, that is in Ghent, Belgium, in the heart of Belgium. I was also an exchange student in 85, 86 in the United States in Minnesota for a full year.
Thank you, Heidi. Okay, so to get us started, we're going to talk about a few different topics related to your time in Belgium. We'll cover culture and daily life, academic matters, health and safety, before you go, and how to keep in touch with ISEP. Okay, so let's start off with life in Belgium. So today we're just going to talk about life in Belgium, but we will just be giving you kind of like a brief overview or a glimpse into Belgian culture. Please remember that cultural expectations and daily life in Belgium can differ depending on which region you are in, and your experience might be very different than what you would typically experience in your home country. Please do your research ahead of time so that you know what you can expect in the city that you will be studying in.
The Belgian culture. Okay, first of all, we are quite a complicated country. First of all, we have 3 official languages, but English, a lot of people do speak English, especially in the cities. So you will not have any problems in the cities talking English to other people. We speak Dutch in the northern part of Belgium. In the southern part of Belgium, Wallonia, we speak French. And then there's also a small part that you can see on the map. It's a little red part. They speak German. Brussels is the capital of Belgium. That's maybe something that you already know. So we are, and Brussels is bilingual. So if you go to Brussels, you will hear both languages, but mostly you will hear French. Another thing that is important to know, if you have studied French in the US, it is very important to know that the French that people speak in Wallonia is a bit different than the French that people speak in France. So you might hear a difference in pronouncing or speaking about numbers. ISEP programs are at Artevelde University of Applied Sciences. This is a Dutch-speaking university in Ghent, in Flanders, in Ghent. But of course, you're enrolled in the English program, so you will have 100% English taught programs. And Vesalius is affiliated with the Vrije Universiteit of Brussels. It's also a Dutch-speaking university in the capital of Belgium. Both academic programs, of course, are in English, and as I already said, English is widely spoken. So do not worry about that. People will understand you. It's quite important, though, you know, if you're in Belgium, that you take maybe some classes to learn some Dutch, or that you learn a few words so that you can communicate the basic things in general life on a daily basis. What is very important? Okay, you're going to greet people, you're going to meet a lot of people, and greetings differ a little bit from America. For example, we do give handshakes, but of course, you know, in the post-pandemic period, shaking hands is not always done anymore. Some people, you know, just say, have a little nodding to say hi, or they just give us a small kiss on the cheek. Sometimes we give 2 kisses, sometimes we give 3 kisses, so it's something that you will have to find out. It all depends from friends to friends, from family to family. So every student has its different approach. Our communication styles, we are quite direct. We do not use a lot of large gestures, unless you, for example, you have roots in Latin America or in Spain. We do not use dramatic changes in intonation when we speak. It's very common, though, to touch each other's arms or shoulders when we're talking, when we have conversations, especially with friends and family. So normally not with people that you do not know yet. The typical quiet tone of Belgian speakers helps to convey kindness and sincerity. Please keep in mind that customer service in Belgium and generally in Europe can be different than what you're used to in your home country. Generally, the coordinators at the university that you're going to study at will help you. If you have a problem, of course, do not ask for assistance. Do not doubt to ask for assistance. It's very important to communicate, and open communication is key to a lot of a lot of misunderstandings. Getting around in Belgium is easy. We're a very densely populated country, so you can get around easily with public transportation. It's quite inexpensive. For example, in Ghent and in Brussels, you can take the metro. In Ghent, you can take the tram, but in both cities, you can also take the bike. It's more common to take the bike in Ghent than in Brussels, because Brussels is a much bigger city and it's less safe to ride the bike in Brussels than in Ghent. Students also, as in America or in other countries, you go out and first of all, students get together in their own residence at their dorm. They have a few drinks together and then they go to a bar or a restaurant to socialize. Keep in mind, it's not, like in the States that shops are open 24 hours a day or 7 days a week. Most shops are closed on Sundays. Sometimes the first Sunday of a month, shops are open, or if you go to the coast in Belgium, shops will be open on Sunday because there's a lot of tourists on Sundays. During the week, also important to know is that our shops are not open, from 8 o'clock till 8 o'clock in the evening. Some open at 9, 10 or 11 even, and some smaller retail shops will close at noon. So mostly between 12 and 2, 12:30, 1:30. It depends from store to store. The general chains are open all day, even during lunch break. What is very important is that you are punctual to all events. Punctuality, we do not like people coming late in class or, when you have made a date with a person.
Thank you. I think we covered this already, so we can go on to the next slide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about housing for the different programs that are offered in Belgium. So if you will be attending Art de Velde, then you will be living in the student residence on campus. You'll have a single room with a shared bathroom. The room is furnished. You'll have a shared kitchen. Often there is no wireless internet, so you may need to use an Ethernet cable. Usually there is no air conditioning or AC, and linens are not usually provided. If you will be studying at Brussels School of Governance, then the default housing option is that you'll be staying with a homestay or doing a homestay with a host family. So please make sure that you ask your host family if there's anything that you need to bring from home. Make sure you tell your host family if you have any dietary restrictions. Also tell your host family if you plan to miss meals or travel for the weekend. And make sure that you're respectful of the family, their belongings, and their home. After all, you are a guest in their home. If you have decided to procure your own housing and you will be studying at Brussels School of Governance, then please talk with your landlord in advance to see what amenities are available and what you may need to bring with you before you depart from your home country. Okay, so meals in Belgium. Tipping is not normally necessary. Most hotels, restaurants, bars, and even some taxis are legally required to include a 15% service charge on bills. However, if you've been very happy with the meal or service, you could round up the bill. This is what many locals do. Groceries are often less expensive overall in Belgium compared to the United States. It's common for people to grocery shop every few days rather than buying in bulk for the whole week. This is because Belgians enjoy fresh food and it's a good way to reduce waste. Depending on your housing, there are usually kitchen utensils and cookware available to use from previous students, or you may be able to rent them from your host university or residence. Okay, so more about local food. National specialties include moules frites, which are mussels and French fries, endives with bechamel sauce, Ardennes sausages, ham, game, pâté, and pralines. Students will also enjoy the world-renowned Belgian chocolate that you've all heard of, waffles and beer. And bread and potatoes are the traditional staple foods of Belgium. A standard Belgian breakfast consists of toasted or untoasted bread with a variety of spreads, meats, or cheeses. And both lunch and dinner typically include pork, chicken, or beef, and French fries. Seafood is also quite popular along the coast of the North Sea, and mussels are eaten throughout the country. Cooking at restaurants and in the home is traditionally done with butter rather than oil. and dairy products are consumed among Belgian nationals. Okay, technology during your time abroad. So if you would like to continue using your home country's cell phone plan, please make sure that you inquire with your cell phone provider or your cell phone service provider to understand roaming costs. Now most students purchase a local SIM card that they can put in their phone and then just use data or WhatsApp. If you're going to do this, make sure that your phone is unlocked and you can put in a local SIM card before you leave your home country. You can also choose to purchase an inexpensive phone that you can just make calls with. Okay, finances in Belgium. So the currency used in Belgium is the euro. If you're having any trouble opening your bank account, please ask your host coordinator or your buddy to help you open a bank account. Some universities even set up a field trip with all international students so that they can all go to the bank at the same time and open their accounts. Also, please keep in mind that opening a bank account can be a lengthy process. It could take a few days. Also, if you will be receiving a stipend at the beginning of your program, sometimes stipends take several weeks to be dispersed. So make sure that you come with enough funds to support yourself for the first several weeks to 1 month of your program. Also, if possible, we recommend that you have a small amount of euros that you can use once you arrive, or that you can get once you arrive at the airport, so that you're not searching for money, right when you arrive in Belgium.
Okay, sports and leisure, the fun things. We Belgians are extremely proud of our football soccer team. We call it soccer team, the Red Devils. Okay, we're very proud of them when they win, of course, and so we do hope that they're going to show some excellent goals in the coming, World Championship in Qatar. Other very popular sports in Belgium are tennis, cycling. Cycling is extremely popular. You will see that if you're in Belgium, that there's a lot of cyclists, especially, of course, in summertime or in springtime, like in September, October. You will see a lot of cyclists on the regular roads. Even cars have to stop for them. So, and running, of course, is also very popular. We do offer, you have to check that with your university, but there are often discounted university sports services available. So you do have to, it's not included in your ISEP fee. But check this with your coordinator so that you can see at what price you can do some sports. It's a very fun and an easy activity to get in touch with locals and with other international students. Your international office will organize events and maybe some trips as well, or maybe an international club. So please, check that with your international office as well. On the web page of the local and university-wide cultural and networking events, you will also, see a lot of events that you can attend and things that you can do to make your stay or your experience in Belgium much more lively and worth. Also extremely important in Europe, of course, is the Erasmus Student Network. The Erasmus Student Network organizes a lot of gathering and events and also trips, for example, to other countries. For example, they go to Amsterdam, they go to Paris, they organize parties, bowling evenings. So get in touch with them and buy a card, an Erasmus Student Network card, and then you will have a very nice network. It's also very important after you go back home to keep in touch with them, because networking, you will recognize or know the importance of networking once you have done your study abroad. Then, of course, we have some holidays, festivals and vacation periods, some nice things to do. And it's every 2 years in mid-August is the Brussels Flower Carpet. It's on the even year, so that's in 2022. It's in the Grand Palace in Brussels. It's very nice. It's a huge, the Grand Place is just, you can see that on the picture on top. It's just full of begonias. It's a really, really nice event. It's a a lot of tourists are coming, of course, to see that. It measures about 70 meters long, 25 meters wide. It's a huge flower carpet. It's a showstopper since it started first time in 1971. Okay, it takes a lot of work, of course. More than 100 volunteers work for that during 8 hours, and they're fresh flowers, of course. Then we also have the Festival of Wallonia. That's the 3rd Sunday of September. Also a nice thing to go and watch. And in December, we have Christmas markets. It's a typical thing that is being done this the last decades in a lot of places in Europe. Mostly it was in Austria and in Germany, but now every city or every town has its own Christmas market. The nice ones are, for example, in Ghent, in Brussels, Antwerp, Bruges, of course, also has its Christmas market. So you can visit that in December as well, if you're not stuck with evaluations and tasks. Then if you come to Belgium in February, you do have to make sure that you attend the Carnival. The Carnaval de Bange, that's in Wallonia, or the Carnival of Aalst, that's in the Flemish part. That's let's say between Ghent and Brussels. If you're staying for the 2nd semester and if you're staying for the summer, do stay until the end of July, because after COVID, we will have now the first Gentse Feesten, the Ghent Festival, for 10 days this July. You know, we usually have this already since, I think, more than when I was a student, so that's a long time ago. I went to the Ghent Festival as well. I invited international friends that I met with AFS to come and join me. And it's a very nice, it's a free festival, a lot of festival things going on, a lot of musicians, shows, theater, street theater. It's a really great fun. It's very well known. And of course, 21st of July, that's our national holiday. We do not celebrate it as much as, for example, the 4th of July, but there's a very nice parade in Brussels with our king and a military parade as well. So, and you will see, of course, a lot of airplanes flying over to Brussels. Something that you have to know: when we have holidays, we will not respond to your emails, but that's something that you have to check with your coordinators. I must say that some will do that, but it depends, of course. Okay, you may not know, or you may know that Belgium, you know, we have 3 official languages: Dutch. 60% of the people speak Dutch. French, it's about 40%, and German is less than 1%. For example, if you come to Ghent, Ghent is the Flemish pronunciation. Gand is the French word. Brussels is Brussels in Flemish, and Bruxelles in French. So Belgian cities have 2 different names. So do not confuse if people tell you I'm going to Bruxelles, and you know it's Brussels, of course. Nice to know, Belgium has more comic book makers per square kilometer than any other country. So we're very famous for that, not only for the French fries. We did invent the French fries. It's called French fries. We should call them Belgian fries, but we did invent them. And we most commonly eat them with mayonnaise. It's a very strange thing for people coming to our country, but we do not eat them with, well, some people eat them with ketchup or with other kinds of sauces. We have a lot of sauces, but mostly we eat them with mayonnaise. It rains a lot in Belgium. You might not come to Belgium because of our sunny weather. We can have a lot of sun. At this point, it's very hot in Belgium. We're going to have a very nice summer, but it's also raining. That's why you have a green country, of course, and you have nice flowers, nice green plants. Without rain, you have a gray country. We usually do not carry our umbrella with us. We're just used to it. When it rains, it rains. We have water-resistant coats and water-resistant shoes, so don't worry. Even if you go on the boat, as you see here, I think that's the canal in Ghent. They also have umbrellas to cover or to help you protect from the rain. So do not worry about that.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. So now we're going to talk a little bit about culture shock. So it's important to talk about culture shock because it's something that every international student will experience in one form or another, or at one point or another. So in this iceberg representation, you see that there are many things that are above the surface of the water, things that might be more evident when you're traveling to a new country, such as food, dress, behavior, language, etiquette, and religion. However, there will also be many aspects or things that might influence your experience that are things that you cannot see, such as customs, assumptions, attitudes, beliefs, and values. So we call these the unseen belief systems that will still affect your experience abroad. So as you go through your time abroad, you may experience some high and low points. The first few weeks after you arrive are often described as the honeymoon phase or the honeymoon period. So you've spent so much time and energy to get here, now you just want to soak it all in. You'll try new foods, meet new people, and you might even get some of the more touristy trips out of the way. So during this period, you'll be charmed by many of the differences, especially the ones that you expected. So during the negotiation stage, which might take place between weeks 2 and 6, you may begin to feel frustration and irritation towards the pieces of your new country that don't meet your expectations. You'll notice that things are not entirely the way you pictured them, and you may have trouble finding your footing. This could mean stumbling over a foreign language, experiencing homesickness, not quite understanding the public transit system, or not finding close friends right away. Make sure that you keep trying and you'll be able to truly relax and find comfort in your new surroundings. Okay, let's go on to the next stage of culture shock. So moving on, you understand a richer complexity to the cultural nuances in your host country, and your routine feels more natural. Daily frustrations will likely still take place, but remember this is a normal part of the human experience, and they may even be a sign of your adaptation. So you'll see that in this image or graph that culture shock, kind of can have lows and highs, and we shouldn't think of it as something that's linear with a clear start and a clear finish. Think of it more as a circular process that may occur many times and with varied levels of intensity. Remember that your peaks and valleys do not define you, but how you recover and learn from them each time. You may even experience reverse culture shock when you return home. Okay, so here we have a few comments or testimonies from past ISEP students. We're not going to read them aloud, but we do encourage you to read them when you review the slides of this presentation later on. Okay, so now that we've gone through daily life and culture in Belgium, we're going to get into academics. So we'll do an overview of higher education systems in Belgium. So teaching and grading styles are different in Belgium than they are in your home country, most likely. You may be surprised that there are not as many assignments every week. Like just as an example, Belgian students who study abroad in the US are usually surprised at the amount of homework that they have to do each day during their exchange. So students studying at Art de Velde University of Applied Sciences, just note that this is an applied science university. This means it's different than a research university or a liberal arts college. At applied science universities, courses are very hands-on and really focus on applied knowledge. Class sizes are often smaller and there aren't many lecture halls. For example, it would be rare to have a lecture of over 50 students. Students attending applied science universities often require more in-class participation and collaboration with other students. Students attending Brussels School of Governance is truly an international university with students from all over the world. Class sizes at Brussels School of Governance, or BSOG, as I might call it from now on, are still small, but follow a structure that include lecture and class participation.
Okay, our campus culture in Belgium. First of all, do not be afraid to ask for help. Communication is key. It's very important to communicate. Do not, doubt to get in touch with your professors or to get in touch with your peers to ask for help or to ask for extra advice. It's very important. We also have buddy systems, so check with that, check with your buddies. Your buddies are there to help you ask questions. Some great opportunities to make friends, to also make friends not only with the international students, of course, but also to make friends with the locals, is that we in Belgium have student clubs and organizations. For example, if you want to get involved, if you really want to get involved, check with your coordinator or check during the welcome week. You will have some explanations on the activities that are organized for students together with the international club to meet local students. Another extra activity, for example, is the sports activities. I have been talking about that. You can do some sports at very low cost. There are also extracurricular organizations, trips, for example, field trips, and of course, as I talked about it before, join the Erasmus Plus network to make some friends for life.
Okay, thank you. So now we're going to go into academics and credit system / course load. So full-time students in Belgium usually take 24 to 30 ECTS, which is about 12 to 15 US credits per semester. Please make sure that you speak with your home university ISEP coordinator to better understand what your home university's minimum full-time enrollment requirements or credit requirements are. The number of classes you take per semester will vary depending on the number of credits granted per course. So you might be taking more classes than you're used to in your home country, but overall the workload should be pretty similar. So for example, you may choose to enroll in 4 courses worth 2 ECTS each, 2 courses worth 6 ECTS each, 1 course worth 10 ECTS each, for a total of 7 classes worth 30 ECTS. The classes worth 2 ECTS, or with lower credit hours, will spend less time in the classroom and have less work than the course worth 10 ECTS. So while you may be taking a larger number of courses, such as 7 courses, the course load can be comparable to that of an average full-time course load at your home university. Okay, so grading system and grades in Belgium. So this is going to differ depending on your host university. If you're going to Brussels School of Governance, as I said before, this is an international university based on the US education model and grading system, so it should be familiar to you if you're coming from a US home university. If you're going to be studying at Arte Velde University of Applied Sciences, most exams are graded on a 20-point scale, or in specific cases on a pass-fail scale. 10 out of 20 is considered passing. However, international students are asked to maintain an average above 12, and please keep in mind that a score of 20 is rarely awarded.
Okay, so you also, of course, before you get grades, you have to register for the courses. Registration, can take place either upon arrival or through an internal application. You will be informed about that by your host coordinator. Make sure, and it's very important, I also advise that to all students, check your emails on a daily basis. It is extremely important because a lot of messages will come via email. We do not send WhatsApp to students. That's not common in Belgium. We send everything via email or via the student platform. So it's extremely important that you check that every day. Make, a kind of a habit for this. We also encourage you to contact your academic advisor at home, at your home institution, to make sure that you will be able to earn credits and that you are enrolled in the minimum number of credits required by your home university. This is very important and something that students often forget. Make also sure that you submit all the required forms that we need. Make sure that you send them or submit them to your host coordinator, so to the school in Belgium. If you're completing an internship in Brussels with BSOC, please make sure that you follow the internal application procedures and submit requested documents by the internal deadlines. Deadlines are extremely important in Belgium. If you pass a deadline, then you will not receive any grade, then we will not accept any registrations anymore. So it's really important that you do not hand in something like 1 minute before the deadline, because then you might have some internet problems and then you have a problem. But anyway, do communicate. It's very important to communicate. It's also important to be open-minded. If you go to another country, be open-minded, check all your options, contact us, contact the coordinators if you have any problem. So communication is key. That's the thing that you really have to remember. How do we interact with professors? So we do not, we always talk to professors with Mr., Mrs. or Miss. We do not use the first names. Some professors will tell you, okay, you can talk to me, and say hello, Heidi, hi, Heidi. But most of them are quite formal. during classes. So do not address them with the first name. It's quite impolite to do so. Only do that if the professors tells you to do that. It's also a good idea to introduce yourself to the professors. They will know that they have exchange students in their classroom, but it's always a good idea. You know, it's very important for your network and showing that you're there. Introduce yourself and explain that you're international students. There are office hours. You can sometimes contact, of course, you can contact the coordinators, but you can sometimes also contact the professors and have a one-to-one conversation with them. You will have to make an appointment. Make sure it's, again, communication. Proactively reach out to professors or classmates if you have questions. Every university in Belgium has a student platform with a lot of student information. We do ask students to read all the information carefully before asking questions, of course. But, you know, if your question is very urgent, if you do not know what to do, please communicate. Also write, you know, to your ISEP coordinator or academic advisor for general questions if you are having trouble contacting a professor. But of course, you can always contact contact the host coordinator of the international office if you have a problem. Then Belgian people are very willing to help international students. Also, very important to know, do not trust a given word. Only trust it if it's written in an email. So if you have made special arrangements, make sure that it's black on white so that you get them in writing on an email to avoid any issues at the end of the semester. So communication, again, written or spoken, it's extremely important.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. Now we're going to go into health and safety during your time in Belgium. So please remember that you have health and safety resources at your disposal. So you should receive the ISEP health and safety presentation over email. We ask that you watch that in full and review the slides. Also, please review resources such as personal safety while abroad, which can be found on ISEP's website. Follow guidance from your peers on how to keep yourself safe, as well as from your host ISEP coordinator. Make sure that you review your ISEP insurance coverage, and make sure that you use the on-campus resources that are available to you. I recommend that everyone save this number in your phone, the one that appears in red. It's the ISEP 24/7 emergency line, so you can call this number at any time if you have a health and safety emergency. And I also recommend adding the number 112 for the European and Belgian emergency services to your phone. It's better to add these to your phone now. That way, if you do find yourself in an emergency, you can call them rather than having to search for the numbers at that time. Okay, so what do you need to know before you go to Belgium? Packing. So we talked a little bit about the weather in Belgium, but your apparel needs will vary depending on, you know, your host city and where you're going, what time of year it is, for example, and your personal preferences. So for example, Heidi talked about the rain in Belgium and the heat in the summer. So make sure that you have appropriate attire for both of these times of the year and climates. Also, if you're planning to take, you know, weekend vacations or longer vacations during your program, such as going skiing in France, do you have the proper attire for that? In terms of toiletries, if you have like specific brands or products that you like to buy, we recommend trying to bring those with you in the quantities that you need. Sometimes those can be more expensive abroad, or you might not even be able to find them. For medication, if you take prescription medication, again, please try to bring enough for your time abroad. Also, for prescriptions, you should have the actual paper prescription with the chemical makeup and the generic name of the medicine, and put that in your carry-on luggage, not your checked bag. In terms of electrical needs, make sure that you research the plugs and the voltage that you'll need, because if you're coming from the US, you will not be able to use your US chargers in Belgium. Also make sure that you make paper copies of important documents and put them in your carry-on. Don't put them in your checked luggage. You may need those when you go through immigration, and you might not have access to your checked luggage at that time. And then lastly, please check your pre-departure information in your ISEP portal. There it will say if you need to bring sheets and towels, or if you should be expected, or if you should expect to buy these or find these once you arrive in Belgium. Okay, so another list of things that you need to do before you go. So for ISEP Direct students, please make sure that you pay your program fee at least 30 days before the start of your program. As we mentioned before, check your data plan with your phone provider to make sure that your phone will work in Belgium and internationally, or make sure that your phone is unlocked if you plan to buy a local SIM card. Make sure that you know the date and location of your on-site orientation and write that down. Write down the address of where you're going and carry it in your carry-on as well. We also recommend writing down your host coordinator's email address and phone number. And then, as we said before, make physical copies of all your important documents and keep them in your carry-on, not in your checked bag, or you can keep the originals in your carry-on and extras in your checked bag. And then make electronic copies of all your important documents and upload them to Google Drive or another online storage system. Okay, so we've almost made it to the end of this presentation. We'll just talk quickly about how you can keep in touch. So before you leave for your program in Belgium, it's a good idea to communicate with your family members and your friends and talk about how you'll stay in touch with them. Please also remember to tell them when you arrive safely in Belgium, just so that they know that you've made it. And then once you arrive at your host university, please go into your ISEP dashboard and click on Provide Your Contact Information. There you can update your contact information so that ISEP can contact you during your program. And lastly, how can you stay connected with ISEP students? So if you like using social media, then we encourage you to follow ISEP on Instagram, Twitter, and join our Facebook groups. You can also post pictures of your time abroad using the hashtag ISEP Study Abroad. Thank you everyone for attending this pre-departure orientation for Belgium. We hope you have a great time. Please feel free to reach out to your host coordinator or ISEP Student Services Officer at any time with questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.